Let me tell you, this is a special day to be with the distinguished members of the President's Cabinet, including our very own Secretary Acosta, my colleagues. I know there are some of my colleagues that are here, and of course, starting with Senator Rubio, Congressman Curbelo. I know I'm going to miss some, but I know that someone that's very special to me, Congressman Lincoln Diaz-Balart, is here, along with who along with Ileana Ros-Lehtinen and Senator Menendez were the ones who codified U.S. law against the tyranny in Cuba. And of course, our Governor Scott is here. Heroes like Cali Roque and Angel de la Fana and Jorge Luis Garcia Perez Antunes are here. My friends, today I stand here in the presence of so many heroes, former political prisoners, the heroes of the Brigada 2506 Brigade, and so many of you. So many others who have suffered under the hands and by the hands of the Castro regime. And let me just talk about the brigade. You know, the brigade is a symbol of dignity, made up of men and women, made up of men who personify sacrifice and heroism, and who, having experienced betrayal, have nevertheless never wavered in the struggle for freedom. Now, many presidents have made commitments, but unfortunately some of those were not kept. When our brave heroes were promised support on April 17th, 1961, they were betrayed and the support never came. When then nominee, Mr. Obama, came to Miami and he promised that he would support the embargo for the leverage that it provided until genuine change and respect for human rights took place in the island, he broke his word. In his last term in office, President Obama urged Congress to end the embargo and yielded all possible concessions, and the Castro regime never unclenched its fist. Now, you know, his is based on this notion, that absurd notion, that increasing trade with the brutal, murderous Castro regime, by the way, even directly aiding the Cuban military tourism industry, would somehow help the Cuban people. He exalted the virtues of his policy, which pretended that the oppressed are somehow helped by the strengthening of their oppressors. In contrast, my dear friends, then nominee Donald Trump, he promised that he would pursue a policy on Cuba that would put U.S. law, the American values of freedom and democracy, and the American national security interests first. But, oh yeah. So here we are. And now he comes back to Miami in his very first year, as president, to keep his promise. You see, my friends, my dear friends, the commitments that he made to you and to those struggling for freedom just 90 miles away from our shores are being kept. U.S. policy will ensure that the Cuban military, which oppresses the Cuban people and it beats the people through its thugs and prisons, political activists and spies on its neighbors, they can no longer benefit from increased trade and travel. The regime, that same regime that was caught smuggling 240 tons of weapons to North Korea, and which has the blood of innocents on its hand, will no longer benefit from U.S. dollars. If you'll allow me, I have a message for the Cuban people. This is my message to the Cuban people and to all those struggling for freedom. President Trump stands with you. President Trump will not stand for the suppression of basic rights. He will not gloss over human rights abuses and the pleas of political prisoners. You will no longer have to witness the embarrassing spectacle of an American president doing the wave with a ruthless dictator at a baseball game in Cuba. Nope. No. To the Cuban people, the President of the United States stands with you. Muy brevemente, tengo un mensaje para el pueblo cubano y todos los que luchan por la libertad. El presidente Trump está con ustedes. No, presidente Trump no aceptará como normal la supresión de los derechos fundamentales. No pasará por alto los abusos contra los derechos de los cubanos, ni las súplicas de los presos políticos. Ahora, al pueblo cubano, ahora el presidente de los Estados Unidos está con ustedes. Look, I am honored to be here as President Trump sets a new course that is faithful to the values that we cherish and the struggle for freedom, which has come at such a great cost to so many. President Trump will treat the Castro regime as the malevolent dictatorship that it is. Thank you, President Trump, for keeping your commitments. You have not betrayed us. You kept your promise. And you stand in solidarity with the Cuban people and freedom-loving people everywhere. And you are putting American values, the U.S. national security interest, and the freedom of the Cuban people first. Thank you, President Trump.